And welcome back to Stories from the River. I'm your host, Charlie Maloof, and we've got a very special guest today, the amazing Holly White, aka Hollywood. Holly, welcome to the pod.
Thank you. I feel honored to be here.
Well, thank you for driving across the state on your day off to spend some time. Holly, you are a back-to-back Sales Manager of the Year, 22 and 2023, and a multiple million-dollar memory maker at the River, and one of the most positive, happy, joyful people I think I know at the company. And Fayetteville, the Special Forces have ascended since 2017, 2018, around the time that you joined. So coincidence? Maybe, perhaps not. So it's an honor to have you with us today.
Thank you.
You ready to get going?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
Well, here we go. So Holly, you've followed the podcast, you've listened to some, and I'm going to start off by kind of diving into your personal story a little bit. We were talking off camera, and we had some time to speak last week as well, and so really excited to kind of share your story and kind of your tips and secrets to success. And it's been really, really remarkable. You've been with the company since September 2017, huh?
Yes.
So your 7-year anniversary will come in a few months here.
That's right.
That's remarkable. And all in Fayetteville?
Yes.
Fayetteville, North Carolina, the Special Forces. And so I want to let you answer this one. How many times have you been $1 million memory maker?
6, and this year will be my 7th.
Oh, you're already calling your shot for this year.
Yes.
6, and that is every full year you've been with us.
Yes.
How many months did it take you your first year?
10 months.
So you got it done in 10 months. So there's a story there. We're going to get into it. So every year, that's really incredible. And I definitely, like I said, I want to get into your secrets of your success. And we've got a lot to talk about. So I think it's going to be a 2-part episode. I'm super excited to chat with you. And then just one more. When did you're also, not only were you Sales Manager of the Year in 2022 and 2023, you're also a perennial home furnishings expert. So you've reached the top of the top. When did you first become an expert?
In 2019, after my first year hitting $1 million, I was told I had to sell $1 million before I could become an expert, and I skipped over being a sales professional.
You've never been a home furnishings professional. Yeah, that's we may call it the Holly White rule. So initially, when we created the expert program, you had to be tenured for 3 years, and then we said, well, we've really hired some really talented folks, and once you've written $1 million, are you not an expert? So let's give them a shot. So you took advantage of that early promotion.
I remember that.
And so when did you become a sales manager?
In 2021.
Okay, 21, and that was when. Was Adrienne going on maternity leave at the time?
She was.
Okay, so you're a sales manager of the sleep business.
Yes.
And have you always focused on the sleep business?
Yes.
Okay. And when she came back from maternity leave, usually every store has 2 sales managers. What was your goal and your mindset when you took over sales manager of sleep?
To sell a lot of sleep because I wanted to keep the position.
And so she came back, and so what happened then?
They never said anything else. They just let me do my job.
So we now have 2 sales managers of sleep in Fayetteville. Fayetteville is one of maybe only 2 stores that has 3 sales managers.
Yes.
And so you're one of those stores, and you've done such a great job in that role. So that's amazing. At our 2023 annual awards gala this past January, you were recognized as Sales Manager of the Year and became the first person ever in our company to win Sales Manager of the Year 2 years in a row. Congratulations. That's really awesome.
Thank you. I'm truly honored, and it was a great surprise. I knew I had worked really hard, but I just didn't think that, there's so many great sales managers out there. So it was very surprising to me.
That's awesome. We really had to bring you in and talk about how you elevated in 2023, and also how you helped the Fayetteville store, aka the Special Forces, elevate. I mean, the Special Forces are now titanium level, which happened under your watch and your tenure as well.
Yes.
Because before they were, at one point they may have been gold, and they got promoted to platinum, and now they're titanium level, which is pretty remarkable. Okay. So that's a lot of great accolades. Any one of those would be a great reason to have you on here, but there's like a stack of trophies probably in your trophy case back home and awards
Yes.
and playbooks and plaques and certificates. So before we get into your history with the river, can you share, about your personal background, personal and professional background in history?
Oh, yes. So I always start with my family, which is in my purpose and my why. I'm a mother of three adult, beautiful daughters and a 5-year-old grandson named Jackson. I always wanted a little boy, so now I have one, and he lives with me. So I get to see him a lot.
That's awesome.
And I've been in sales my whole life. It started when I was a little girl. I sold the most tickets in my elementary school. So they put me on stage and
Tickets to what?
to like barbecue plates, I believe. And I won a Cabbage Patch
Nice.
doll, so I got to go on stage. So I think I learned a lot from that. And then I became a Girl Scout, sold cookies, anything that there would be a contest. When I was growing up, I would do it, like coloring contest, pretty much anything. And then so my first job, I wanted to work at the mall and sell clothes because, what teenager doesn't love clothes? So that's what pretty much got me started. And my first sales tip was to always smile and compliment your guests. And it just always stuck with me.
Wait, who gave you that sales tip?
My sales manager.
At which store?
It was called Merry Go Round.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Smile and always compliment
Yes.
your customer.
Yes.
That's a great sales tip.
Yes, it was.
And did it work?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone's got a favorite Girl Scout type of cookie.
Mhm.
What was yours? Mine was Thin Mints.
I like the Caramel Delight.
Caramel Delight.
Yeah.
Okay. I also like the shortbread cookies too.
Yeah, I like them all too.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Well, so how did it come about that you joined the river?
Well, I was a guest, and there was a bedroom set that I had my eye on, and I kept going to look at it. And so I ended up, going in there, and my salesperson, Grizel, gave me a comfort test. And at the time, I didn't know that's what it was called, but she put me on a bed, and I was elevated, my feet, and I got a massage, and I was like, wow. So I was wondering, like, how much is this? And she told me the price, and I was like, oh, wow. Well, I used to sell cars, and, I've never sold a mattress. I want to try it.
Well,
And
did she encourage you? Did she say you just decided, I think I want to sell this?
no, I just thought it when I had got home.
Okay.
But I had came back later to, get artwork and different things, and I had asked her about it, and said, you seem like you really like your job, and she loved it. And she told me that I would have to work a lot of weekends. It was a big sacrifice. And I was like, I can work weekends. I always enjoy working Sundays at my other jobs because it's a short day.
Well, I remember Grizel very well. She worked for us for several years, and she was very good.
Yes.
What was the bedroom group? Do you remember?
Yes, it was the Kingston.
Kingston, okay.
Yeah.
And she put you on a mattress with an adjustable base that had the massage, elevated your feet,
Yes.
put you in zero gravity.
Yes.
Okay. What were you doing at the time?
I was a storage facility manager.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to work weekends at that job?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you were used to working weekends.
I was.
And you said you sold cars before?
I did.
So were you really good at it?
Yes.
So you're used to selling big ticket purchases with financing a lot of times. And so you said, oh, I think I can do this.
Yes.
Had you ever thought about selling furniture before?
I didn't, but I've always been into furniture. Even when I was like in first grade, I would like sit in the classroom and like think like, oh, I would decorate it and what I would do. And I would cut out pictures and magazines. And I just always loved looking at, furniture. So I'm not sure why I didn't, but I always said I wish I could go back and I would have done that.
Okay.
But I did want to be an interior decorator when I
Yeah.
was in home ec, and the lady had told me that I would have to live in a big city to make money. So I think that's why I listened to her, and I shouldn't have.
She dissuaded you, but you're kind of scratching that interior decorator itch with
Yes.
what you get to do today.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
you get to
that
help,
is what I
yeah,
do.
yeah, you
Mhm.
get to help them design their room.
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. Do you remember your first day at Broad River?
I do.
Tell us about it.
So I came in and everybody welcomed me, and I believe they gave me a like a little
The
box.
day one box. Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of walked me around, and there were some amazing managers at the time, and which we still have,
Mhm.
but they really wanted me to be successful. So that felt good to me, and
Who were the managers at the time?
Isaac, Kenny, and Nathan.
Great guys. And so how much time did it take you to get acclimated?
Started selling my first Saturday.
Your first Saturday,
Yes.
and you'd never sold furniture before.
No.
And so what was the toughest part of the job in the beginning?
Well, I remember greeting my first guest, and they wanted a sleeper sofa, and I didn't know which ones had the sleeper sofa.
Yeah, that's not easy to know right off the bat.
No.
That's more, everyone remembers their first guest.
Yeah, so I just had fun, had conversation until we found it.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
That's great. That's why you
Mhm.
kind of work your way through it.
Yes.
And so, what do you think led to your early success in your first full year in Fayetteville? You said you crossed the $1 million mark, not in 12 months, but in 10 months. You
Yes.
compressed the timeline.
hmm
What led to that success?
Just the team, the support, and knowing that I worked for a company that cared about me and I was motivated. I had worked a lot of jobs that I worked really hard, but I wasn't making the money. So, and I feel like that's why I've sold so many different things from like sunglasses, jewelry, leased apartments, storage units, cars. I'm sure there's many others, but I wasn't making the money that I wanted to. And it's not that I wanted to quit, it was just I knew that I could do better, and I wanted to make money for my family. So, yeah.
That's great. So the input wasn't producing the output that you wanted,
That's right.
and you were, I'm a hard worker. I've got this great work ethic.
Mhm.
I'm good at my jobs, but I'm not getting the output that I really want until you came to Broad River.
Exactly, and I was a little scared at first. Nathan kept calling me, and I was like, "Wow, he really wants me to come." So, I couldn't figure out,
What
like
were you talking about, your recruitment period? So
Yes,
you were kind of
before I started.
okay. So this was like maybe over a several week period.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
it took a while because I couldn't figure out how many sofas in a day that I could sell.
Okay.
Like, if they would have showed me, like, this is what you can make, I didn't know. And
So what did he say, or how did you get convicted to like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to do this.
I thought back about one of my sales managers at Precision Ford. His name was Harold. Well, that was the owner, but he had told me that I asked him why he was successful, and he said because his dad told him that risk reaps reward. So I got to thinking about all the jobs, and I was like, okay, well, I already know what's not working for me. So there's lots of those jobs. And then I said, I'm going to try it. And if it doesn't work out, then, there's those other jobs that weren't working anyway. So I just took a chance.
I like
Yeah.
that quote. Risk reaps reward.
Yes.
And that's kind of nestled back in your mind. And you said, okay, might be a risk. I might be a little bit nervous, but I think I can make this work.
Yes.
And Nathan's constantly calling, saying, hey, we need you up here. We want you up here. And so finally, kind of all that kind of coalesced, and then you made it happen.
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right, so sticking with the pre-pandemic period, the before times, as I like to call them, what were some of your favorite memories? Would you say they include fellow memory makers or favorite guests or favorite events like Orange Crush tours or any of the events held in Fort Mill or Charlotte if you attended any of those? So keep it to pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Favorite memories.
It's tough because there's so many, but the most important would be my guests. So I'll share that first. So I remember having a family come in. They just moved down from New York and they needed bar stools. Well, I started talking about our VIP and I got them to do it. And I went and typed it all up and brought it to them. And this is what I normally say: congratulations. Well, this time I said, congratulations, you're approved for 20,000. They got real excited. And so we just started going around the store and just picking out everything. And that was one of my first $20,000 days.
So approaching the financing application with a big jolt of enthusiasm.
Right.
And you were probably really excited for them too.
Yes.
That's awesome. Any other favorite memories?
Yes. So I always thought about the Orange Crush. When y'all all came. I was like, oh, they're coming to our store. We had to prep the store real good. We worked really hard before y'all got there.
Well, any store or any house is always cleanest right before guests come. So I do know that.
That's right. Which it should be every day,
That's right. Well, it's a good reason to have guests come over, I guess.
That's right. So I just always thought about what you had said about everyone. You wanted to have people that were there to work, that had goals. You didn't want people to work there that didn't want to work. And, I like that because, it's bad for morale to have people that don't want to work, So it made me feel like even more motivated, and I wanted to work even harder because I felt good about that. And it meant a lot to me when you said that if you sell 1 million, that's a store that you can open. And I just started thinking about that's jobs that other people, maybe someone like me, that can work there,
It's funny the things that kind of percolate and that you recall. So I do remember some of those tougher conversations like, hey, this isn't for everyone, but
Right.
we wanted to get the right people on the bus.
Yes.
And if you don't want to work hard, you don't have to work here.
That's
no
right.
one's holding you hostage. You can leave. So it's funny that you still remember that. And the other one, I think I heard somewhere or read somewhere that, most I think what you're referencing is this idea that most small businesses in America, the stat at one point was like 97% do less than $1 million a year. So if you write over $1 million a year, you do more business than most small businesses in America. It's like, so you have your own store, your own company within a company, your store within a store.
That's right.
Maybe something along those lines.
Yes.
Yeah. That's really cool. Okay. Purpose begins with identity. You've heard that phrase before, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when we introduced our company's new purpose statement in August 2018, for all I know, you were in the audience, but furnishing life's best memories. Do you recall what you thought at the time? Did it resonate with you?
It did. I actually looked at it last night. I have a little notebook that I had took notes that day, and it had the sticker Purpose 828 on it, which was referencing a Bible verse.
Mm-hmm. Romans 8:28.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had wrote down like what my purpose, my why, and I had a book, and it just made it more visual to know that y'all care about us and want us to be the best that we can, and to have such good values.
Yeah, Purpose 828 was August 28th, 2018.
It was.
So, and that was our Purpose Summit day that we had in Charlotte. We had actually revealed the phrase "furnishing life's best memories" the year before at our leadership summit, and then we formed a purpose activation committee and worked the whole year on activating purpose within the company. And so we had a day of purpose on that day. So you were there at Purpose 828. That's great. And so well, tell me more about furnishing life's best memories, because I think I've seen maybe some of your Facebook posts or something like you really truly embody and see yourself as a memory maker, and as have you taken that to heart even at home?
Oh, yes.
How so?
Well, I've been able to furnish my home. I've been able to buy a house, multiple cars. But, obviously, life's not about buying things. What's important is the people. And in my community, anywhere I live, everyone that knows me knows that, I sell furniture and want you to get a good night's sleep. And it's just really important. It makes me feel good. But I love it. I love my job. Anyone that I can inspire, anyone that wants to come work, I've had people reach out to me and want to do what I do. And if I find out that they really want it, then I try my best to get them in.
Well, it's just, what I know about you and the way you live your life. You care about your family,
Yes.
about your daughters, your
Mhm.
grandson,
Yes.
and you've been able to provide and provide material things, but more than importantly, a great home, a beautiful home, a furnished home,
Yeah.
and also a place for memories with you and your family,
Yes.
and then also in the community, and that they see how you, a lot of times, leadership is caught more than it's taught, and so just the way you're living your life, people even in the community are like, hey. What's in the water that you're drinking, and why do you, but you love work, you love what you do,
Mm.
you do it well, you do it with excellence, people notice, and you do it with positivity, so it makes a big difference, and you do it with purpose, and which is because I know you're always very intentional, and we're going to get into more like your goals and how you think about your job and approach it, but you definitely work with purpose every single day. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. When Fayetteville became known as the Special Forces, how did that identity come about? And what do you recall about it? Like, do you know what went into that decision and whose decision it was and who all weighed in on the new store identity?
Yes. So it was a Saturday morning. Every Saturday we have morning connections. And Nathan was my GM that year. And he said that, hey, we got to come up with a name. And we just, started, throwing names out there. And I don't remember who actually picked it, but I thought it was pretty cool because, like, that is who we are. We serve the, you know, special forces, all of them, and that's keeps us busy. And we get to meet their families. We find out where they're coming from, how long they've been in, and we get to help them.
Do you tell your guests that you guys are the Special Forces?
Um,
Or y'all don't, or do you just keep it internal?
Kind of a little bit of both. We do have it on our cowbell, and I had 3 military guys the other day, and they're like, "Oh, cool! They have special forces on their cowbell."
Do you remember, so at Orange Crush 3, the Memory Maker tour, during our Year of Purpose in 2019, I believe that's when you guys unveiled your mural representing your identity for Special Forces. Do you remember the mural that you have?
Oh yes, I sit in front of it all the time.
Yeah. And who like someone just decided at your store just to paint that, right?
Yes.
Who
So a guy named Hunter,
Yeah.
and he had been in the furniture business, but he wanted to work with us. So he was very talented, and he volunteered to paint it.
Pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
We walked in, there's a whole mural to represent your identity. That was really well done. All right. So, well, I mean, do you think it's important for a retail store to have its own unique identity as opposed to being store 321 or 354, 351? And how have you guys, used Special Forces to kind of lean into that to build culture within your store and team?
And because that's what we do, we're special forces. We have to like set the bar. We have to, show what is possible to the other stores, and
Love it.
we feel honored to carry that name. Yes,
And you guys really carry the banner for the East, don't you?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I want to transition to talking about pulling the vision forward in Four Oaks. You may not know or remember this, but in August 2017, right before you joined, I had pitched the vision for a brand new multi-purpose distribution center in the East that we would one day build. And I think the vision called for breaking ground by January 2023 or something really far out there at the time. But then all of the growth that we had in the East region and the density of stores that we got, we were able to pull that vision forward and announced in March of 2019 that the new all-in-one supercenter was coming to Four Oaks, right off of Interstate 95. Do you recall hearing that news for the first time? And if so, what was your reaction to it?
I do. And I was excited about it because I would always think about our delivery team having to drive 3 hours and
One way.
plus, right? And I was like, wow, they must be really tired by the time to get there. So to have like the growth, I knew that I was at the right place. I did.
Yeah.
And how it would benefit all of us.
I assume there's a sense of pride in knowing that you guys were able to pull that vision forward like by several years.
Yes.
I think we were talking off camera. They mentioned to you that hey, there's this one day we're going to have our own distribution center out here. Was that part of the pitch?
Yes.
Yeah. Little did we know we just needed to hire Holly White to pull that vision forward a few years. So we'd eventually break ground in Four Oaks in May 2019. And then we would open the distribution center in March 2020, right when the pandemic hit, and the new Four Oaks store in June 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. So speaking of the pandemic, what was that experience like for you? Did you ever take a furlough?
I did. So I remember the day that I had first learned about it. I had started my shift around noon, I believe, that day. And my GM, which was Kevin, had came up to me and said, "Hey, there's a pandemic. It's like a virus." And I was like, "What?"
It's crazy. Like no one really knew what to say.
I don't watch the news. Like if I hear about something, it's normally from my guests. I live, eat furniture. But I thought, okay. And then he said, well, not everyone can work in the store. We're going to have to like see who wants to, stay home during this. And so I thought about it. Well, I want to work, but I was like, it'd be nice to take a break and hang out with my family. I was getting ready to move to downsize during that week. So I took furlough. And then I remember being home for about 2 weeks. And then I received a phone call from my GM, David Walters. And funny thing, I had already knew who he was because he had interviewed me before for a different company. And so I was like, oh, wow. So he said, we're really busy. We need you to come back. I was still scared. And I was like, well, I got to think about it. I have to pray about it. But I will let you know. So I was still not 100% sure, like, should I go out and risk bringing home something to my family? So that taught me a lot about fear. I had never really experienced that before until then, but he kept calling me, and I'm so thankful that he did. Because when he had called me the second time, I said, I'm ready. I have faith in God now, and more so than before. And you need me. And I realized during furlough that we were essential because I downsized because retail, I'm in sales. That's what I do. Like, if the stores aren't opening, how am I going to work? How am I going to provide for my family? So I came back to work, and I felt a little nervous pulling up in the parking lot after I had been out for like 30 days. And I remember having to put my mask on. And when I first greeted a guest that day, I just kind of just went to it just like I didn't have a mask on. And, I just kept going.
So you were out for about, 5 weeks or so?
A little over 4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay. And so you would have gotten one of the Memory Maker Assistance Fund checks then that we sent in early April to those who were on furlough. Do you remember that?
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then he's calling you. You're nervous, but then eventually you say, "Hey," because once the real stimulus checks hit, people did start coming back into the stores, those stores that were open and buying. And he's like, "Hey, we're busy. The guests right here. We actually need more people than we have." And it got to be a really great time to sell. Deliveries were constrained for a bit, but how was it like selling with it while wearing a mask?
It was a little bit more challenging to get your personality because they can't see your smile,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a big part of my selling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there was some challenges for that, and sometimes it would be a little bit harder for us to hear other people because they were wearing masks too.
How did you overcome that? Like, how did it make you better at connecting with your guests? Like, how do you smile through your eye with your eyes?
Just to be like truthful, just to show my true self
Okay.
in a different way.
What did you learn about resiliency during the pandemic?
To focus on what I'm in control of versus what I cannot change. So,
The serenity prayer, right?
yeah.
Focus on what you can control, not what you can't.
Mhm.
How painful were the supply chain woes during the back half of 2020?
I got a lot of customer service experience during that time, but every day I got better and better and better at it. It was tough. People were upset that they didn't have their furniture yet.
Mhm.
They didn't know when it was coming. People were really emotional during that time. And, I mean, it was understandable. So what we did, we listened to them and, just tell them we understood. It was just as important to
Yeah.
us. And we told them that we were going to do everything we could to
Yeah.
keep them updated. We made a lot of phone calls, a lot of connections.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think there was also a lot of cancellations too.
Oh, yes.
What did your open orders backlog grow to? Do you recall?
It was around 500,000.
That's incredible. 500,000.
Yes.
Like compare that to today. What is it today?
100.
100,000. So
Mhm.
5 times more. Wow. Well, I guess in some regards that was good. Some regards it's bad. Like it's a lot of business you've written, but then you're waiting for it to be delivered. And now you've still written a lot of business, but it gets delivered a lot faster.
Yes.
What did you learn about the company during the pandemic?
That y'all are forward ahead. Like y'all think of things. Like I just have so much trust in the company that I know that y'all we're going to be okay no matter what comes our way and how strong we are. And we were united, and y'all showed us what that meant. And I had faith in it. I was never really worried. I had found out you were getting furniture and being creative, moving stuff around. And then now when I hear, guests bring it up, because, sometimes they say, man, it took a long time. I would say, well, Charlie won't let that ever happen again.
We hope not. We hope not. I don't know if Charlie can prevent it, but we, we'll do all we can to try to be insulated. But we were all in it together. It was a very, you're right, unifying and united time frame during, even though we were separated by distance and whatnot, we were all fighting the same fight. We were all in the foxhole together, so to speak. Did you notice that retail changed? Like, did the customer shopping behavior change during the pandemic?
I believe so. So during COVID, guests would come in and they knew it was going to take a long time because we were upfront about it. They knew that we could get their furniture faster than, other companies. So they would buy like normally the first visit because they wanted to, get their stuff sooner than everybody else coming. And now when guests come in, I tell them they can get their furniture possibly in a couple days, around a week or so. That gives them a little bit more time to think about, their decisions of what they're going to get. But I think that's how it's changed.
Got you. Yeah, there was like, oh, I better put it in now so I don't get backed out several weeks.
Right.
It was an unintended good consequence, I guess, in that regards. Do the same principles apply, now before the pandemic in terms of working with your guests?
Yes. So, just following the process, letting them know, like answering their questions, just let them know that, we're a good brand. We're not going to go anywhere. Just a lot of good things.
What did you learn about yourself during the pandemic?
That I had to have strong self control and mental toughness, and a lot of faith.
Yeah. And so do you feel like you emerged better for it?
Yes.
Wow. Holly, I'd love to continue this conversation. Let's press pause on this one and have you come back, and we'll do part 2 right after this. Folks, that's all for episode 1 of the Holly White episode. Come back next time, and we're going to finish our conversation with the amazing Holly White, aka Hollywood. Holly, you want to come back next time?
Yes.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.